It's live. Ken's here. Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody out to our council meeting tonight. Just for you on camera, Councillor Foss and Councillor Capeters, anyone that's checking in, there's about 11 people in our seating room tonight. We have Ann and Inga, we have, is it Charlene? Graves. We have Faye Geddes, we have Martin Wolf, we have Charlotte, right? Larissa, I'm sorry. Larissa. We have Kate Kent, Maxine West, and Amy Stevens. That's probably not Stevens, but Amy Stevens? Okay.
Pretty good, man. Good job.
Anyway, so we want to welcome you here. So we're going to call our meeting to order. We need someone to adopt the agenda. You see there's one addition. That's the 6.11, the EMS. Councillor Froms makes that motion to adopt the agenda. Any other discussion from that? Then all in favor? Okay, we have 3 delegations here tonight. Kate Kent's here to talk about the cemetery, and also she wants to include chickens. So this will be interesting.
It was okay.
What's that?
I want to, they told me I could.
I'm confused. She says they... Anyways, she's talking about chickens too, plus a cemetery. So we'll start with you, Kate, first, please.
This I don't mind. I tried to get on last week, so I didn't have to do this. All right. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I would like to thank you for allowing me to come again, because I'm sure you were worried, and address my concerns about a couple of things. I'm going to start with the con and end with the pro, so we can end on a happy note. So, I was born in this awesome town. My grandpa Court farmed southwest.
Wait. You said you're starting with the cons.
That's not funny. My grandpa Court farmed southwest of Raymond, and my grandpa Robinson farmed south on the ridge. And I was raised on the southeast corner of town on a half-acre lot. And it was surrounded by an empty lot on the north side and a half-acre lot on the south side. And at one time, we had a horse, we had a couple of cows, and quite a few times we had chickens. Now, I love chickens. I have nothing against chickens. I do, however, have something against chickens when they are too close to my property. They poop a lot. They stink a lot. They can bring unwanted predators such as skunks, hawks, dogs, and cats. And they cluck nonstop, which is cute for a while. I already deal with loose dogs and loose cats. There's not been a summer go by in the last 12 years of living in my house that I have not had to pick up dead birds from my backyard. Lots of wandering cats and quite a few hawks at night. I've looked into other towns, because I do my homework, who allow chickens in town. There are rules, and they do limit the amount, which is a great idea. However, here's my problem with that. I have neighbors on either side of my home, and I have 2 other neighbors who back onto my backyard. So let's say that you can have 4 chickens each. That is 16 stinky, pooping, clucking, predator-enhancing hens surrounding my backyard that I work very hard to maintain. If common sense was common, most people would keep their chickens in a very clean, well-maintained coop, and this would eliminate some of the problems. However, you of all people, and me, know that common sense is not common. So please keep the chickens on the acre lots, either outside of town or on the outskirts of town. I already had a problem with pet pheasants in my area of town, and I really do not want to have to worry about any more birds. Crows are bad enough. I'm really hoping that you will give a lot of thought into the zoning of chickens in town. That is number one.
Do you want us to have some discussion with you first, ask some questions about chickens, or?
However you do things, I don't know.
Sure, we can do that. Does anyone have any questions for Kate? Any comments to her? As you know, we haven't discussed chickens. It's been brought up. We've received quite a few emails from people in town that are
And the
for.
Facebook page is rampant.
I don't know about that.
I'm telling
We,
you.
we try not to look.
You're probably wise. You're probably very smart.
But we've had a number of emails, and Kate, I would like to know, how many people are you speaking for?
How many people am I speaking for?
Yes.
I have no idea. I just know that I'm speaking for myself.
When you said they said I could talk about chickens. Okay, well, that was just administration?
Yeah, she requested to speak.
Yes,
on
Gotcha.
yeah,
chickens.
yes,
I just
Okay.
wondered
yes,
if you were
yes.
representing a delegate.
No, I don't, but I could.
We thought you had some vigilantes behind.
Well, I got one.
Why do you think Maxine's here?
I have one
What do you
who's
think
got my
Maxine's
back. One here who's got my back, but I can get others, but I just thought I would come on my own today. And, but if needs be, I can definitely round up a few.
So
I'm
we,
sure you can, but I just wondered if there were already some people who asked you to represent.
Well, I've
them.
had people ask me about it, and my opinion and what I think about it, and probably out of the ones that I've talked to, it's about 50-50. There's 50 who would like to have chickens in town, but there's also quite a few who would like to have chickens in town as long as it's in a zoned area. You know, like not right downtown.
Glad to have your input, because it is on our policy meeting agenda.
And I knew that, and I know that you guys are going through quite a few of your zoning things now, because the ones that you have are old. And so that's why I'm coming now, before you make that decision. And I would hope that before you make a final decision, you know, you would let us know, and maybe I could bring more people here if needs be, or whatever.
Thank you.
You know, but yeah, I just think you're opening up, if you open it up to the whole town, you're just opening up a big headache for yourselves, for one thing. Bylaws, you know, like I said, there's dogs and cats that can't be controlled in this town. I can't even imagine if chickens were allowed everywhere. So, and like I said, I'm sure there'll be quite a few people who would do a wonderful job with them, but not all of them.
so we appreciate your input, and
So-
I'm sure the bylaw committee will be,
I just want you to really
Talking
think
about
about it
Yeah,
before
it's
you
valuable input.
open it up to everybody.
and then when it comes back, it'll come back to council. Maxine, you wanna
I
have?
actually did send some great information to Abe, what they're doing in Edmonton and in Okotoks and some other communities and cities. So, you know, there's quite a few stringent policies that they have, if people want to have them. You know, the city of Edmonton makes people do a little online course that costs $60 before they can get a permit. You know, and then they outline, you know, what your chicken run, what your coop has to be like, how many perches you have to have, depending on how many hens, you know, and your nesting area and all that. And it actually, the city of Edmonton has great information on how to care for your chickens and how to take care of your coop. And so I just hope that council will do their due diligence, and, you know, we want responsible chicken owners. So I feel like if they have to go through,
Or no chicken.
you know, some steps where I really want this, then maybe we'll get that. But I just, yeah, I don't want stinky chickens. I don't think you wanna buy your yard.
We'll have to wait
Do you
and
want
see.
chickens in your
We're
backyard,
pretty
Mayor?
close neighbors.
I mean, there's gotta be some good bylaws set out on it,
Yes,
for sure.
yes.
And that's what these guys will talk about on our bylaw committee, and
But I did
And we'll
forward a
get
lot of
back.
stuff to Bryce Peters, and he forwarded it to Abe.
Dave, okay, good,
Yeah,
well, thank
it's
you.
good information.
Okay, so, Kate, your next point, cemetery, oh, wait a minute, has anyone else got a question for Kate before we move on? No? Okay, cemetery.
Okay, the next thing I would like to address is the cemetery. As you are all aware, I have been here a couple of times, hoping that the town would approve the gazebo as you enter the grounds. And I just have one thing to say, you came through. So yay. I love the new look, and the columbarium is a beautiful, needed addition out there. I'm hoping that a map will still be placed inside the gazebo to assist those who need it. Also, a link to the town website would be great. There is a newly added cemetery site on the town website that has the plots added, and that's a wonderful addition. And it allows friends and family to find, the plots and where they're buried there at any time if they have a phone or if they have access to that. So the book used to be the thing that did that. And although I still think we might need a book for a few years for the older generation that don't have the phones and don't have the computers, putting that on your website was a great idea. And I don't know who did it, whoever took that project on, because I'm sure it was a big project and it took a lot of time. So thumbs up to whoever did that. I don't know if it was Abe or who it was, but I would hope also that they would keep that updated regularly, so that it isn't just done now and then 10 years from now we got to go back in and do things. Because I'm out there a lot. There's a lot of people out there. I was just out there today, as a matter of fact, and the grounds were full of people. We had people from Cardston, we had people from Calgary, and there's always people out there wanting to know. I would also like to put a plug in for Logan Smith, who has worked out there. The cemetery looked absolutely beautiful this year. Probably the best it's looked in quite a few years. The mowing was kept up to date, and it was calm, it was peaceful, and it was a real beautiful place to visit anytime I went out. So I know that there's others who work out there, but Logan's the one that I've had the most contact with, and if I had a concern or did whatever, he took care of it. He's been awesome to talk to and work with, and I know that sometimes these workers for the town don't get enough credit for the good things they do. They always hear about the bad things they do, but they don't hear about the good things they do. So kudos to Logan Smith. He's done a great job.
And thank you for bringing that up. That's great.
Yep. So a big thank you for seeing the need at our cemetery and for finding the grant money to make that happen. I appreciate it. It looks fantastic out there.
Great. Thank you. So when I saw it was on the agenda, I went out yesterday and I thought it looked great out there too. And then I took my wife again today to show her, and I think it looks great out there too. So.
Yeah, it really is such a change, because you used to see that right when you drove in. It was just a mess. And that nice cement right there, and I don't know what happened to the bench, but I hope it ends up back there. There was a bench that was a cement bench that would be nice to be sitting there.
I'm not sure either.
So
We don't get into the fine details. We
Yeah.
leave that to administration.
exactly, but it's not finished, and I hope that we do finish it by putting the map in there. And like I said, either a link to the town or maybe even have the book out there for a few years yet to come
for
to
sure.
help with the older people, because the people that were out there today didn't have access to, to a phone to look it up and do those kind of things. So that's my hope, that you're not quite done yet. But what has been done is fantastic, and Logan and the boys out there have done a really great job this year.
We appreciate your input. Any questions for Kate on the cemetery from anybody? Kate?
Thank you for being persistent, Kate. And thanks for holding our feet to the fire.
Mayor, just an update on that map, and that it's a work in progress right now.
Okay.
We're working with artists to get some renderings for that map, and we'll make sure to include a QR code that links back to the site on that.
That's a great idea.
It's been slow with COVID trying to get work done, unfortunately, but it'll be there.
Hey, this was done quicker than I thought it would be, and couldn't be happier.
Good,
So,
thank you.
awesome.
Just before we move to our next delegation, we've had 2 more people come into our council chambers, just so you that can't tell that. I don't know your names. Can you introduce yourself?
That's Mike Stevens.
Michael Stevens?
Okay, go ahead.
Cheyenne the Rhymer.
Okay, okay, for sure. So did you hear that? Okay, we'll move on. So next delegation is the library, Charlene Graves.
So we're actually gonna have Faye.
Faye's gonna do
I
it.
just set everything up, but she has the magic touch.
So welcome Faye. We really appreciate what you do in our town as a librarian, so we'll turn the time over to you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mayor and council members, for allowing the library to come and do this. I did have a presentation, other than this. There. Didn't go to the second. So it's that time of year again when we come before you and let you know a little bit of what has happened at the library. Our biggest news is Charlene Graves is now our board chair, and we're happy to have her there. I think all the other board members are the same as last year. We are down a couple. We're allowed to have 10 board members, and I think we have 7 right now. So,
What's your minimum, Faye?
minimum? Is it 5?
5.
5, I believe.
5.
Yeah. Okay.
And we were gonna ask them tonight, I think, for Kara.
Am I asking or you?
It's
It's on the agenda?
Yep.
Okay. This is our staff. Nothing has changed except for our last part-time clerk is now Nathaniel Hartley. It was Trinity Lees, who has gone off to college, so we're happy for her. We're also very happy to have Nathaniel Hartley, who is a very conscientious young man, and he'll be a good addition to our staff. And this is just a little infographic, I don't know if you can see it that well, of 2019. Every year we're required to submit a report to Edmonton, and they then make up this little infographic for us. So in 2019, everything was right on track. Our membership was going up a little bit. Our checkouts was going up a little bit. We were right on track with our buying of books and everything like that. So 2019 was a really good year for us. Just a couple of stories from 2019, or maybe it was this year. There's another library in Canada called the Raymond Public Library. And we received a phone call from them, and they really got kind of mad at us because we didn't check their books in. But the staff handled it very well. It was in Quebec.
Yeah, she spoke in French the whole time.
Okay. Joanna Reimer is my second in command at the library. So yeah, and they couldn't understand why we couldn't speak French. But I think we finally got that solved. So that was kind of funny. The other funny thing was someone phoned and asked for a skunk trap. Asked if we had a skunk trap they could use. Of course we said no. Phone the town, which I'm sure they did. Okay, next one. So then came the COVID challenge. So basically we did the best we could. 2 of our staff were laid off. The rest of us manned the phones and did what we could. This is just a little infographic from Chinook Arts showing the e-book and audiobook and online things that are available through the library and how much they went up between March and May. And of course, Tumble Books, that 88% of children's e-books, that's really quite a big jump. Also on the bottom, Gale courses are some free courses people can take with their library cards. The enrollment with that went up 85%. Just before I think COVID happened, Chinook Arch put on the website where you could register a new library card online, which was really fortunate because even though everyone had to stay home, if you didn't have a library card, you could get one. And we had quite a few people come on board that way. I know these are Chinook Arch system-wide stats, but the stats for our library are pretty similar to this. And of course, with COVID, our summer reading program, we were not allowed to be open to the public until June 15th. So we basically answered the phones, and we also did a little bit of curbside service. After June 15th, we were open 2 days a week, and we continued to do curbside service for the days we were closed. And Chinook Arch started shipping holds and things to us once a week. And of course, when we opened, we had a lot of guidelines from the government on what we could and could not do. And one of the things we have to do is quarantine books when they come in. Okay. And of course, our summer reading program, we had a lot of challenges with that. At first, we didn't think we were going to get the Canada Summer Job Grant. And in July, I went to work one morning and I got an email, ta-da, you got approved for 2 employees. So we quickly rearranged how we were going to do the summer reading program. And I was able to hire back Megan Parrott, who was one of my employees that we laid off. So we were able to hire her back with the Canada Summer Job Grant. And we also hired Nathaniel with that grant as well. So we did kind of a combination of in-person programs and online sessions. And I've just got there the stats for you on how many people looked at our online. And it was a challenge for the in-person. I think parents were still a little cautious about sending their children to the summer reading program. So our stats for that are pretty low. The Raymond's Lion Club and the Raymond Chamber of Commerce sponsored us again this year. They didn't give us as much money as they normally do because we weren't able to have the big program that we usually do. So it was a little less. But having said that, I just want you to know that all our programming is done with donations. None of it comes out of our regular budget. So when people donate, we do programming. If they don't donate, we don't get to do any programming. So we're really thankful for sponsors who donate to the library. Just Dance was one of the fun things we did in person. We did it in the rotunda of the building so we could maintain social distancing as much as we could. This was all the same family, so we weren't too worried about that. Okay. And our 10th annual Lego contest had to be online. And so what people did is they built their creation at home and they took pictures of it and emailed it to us, and that's how we chose the winners. This was the winner, and it depicts mini golf on the lawn at the library. And I think she did a really good job. You can even see the 2 little signs on the front lawn and the seats. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. My staff were very good this year. They created 25 videos for our summer reading program. So people could watch the video on Facebook, and then if they wanted a craft kit, they could come to the library and get the supplies for that particular craft. Those videos are still available on Facebook, and they are also available on YouTube by searching Raymond Public Library. And the archives. This was a perfect year for us to take over the archives because we had time to work on it. Okay. So besides just doing the cataloging that needs to be done, That's okay. There it is. So we've been spending some time scanning all the school yearbooks that we have in the archive. So I think they're all scanned now, and we're just in the process of putting them in a format that will be easier for clients to look at. The staff is also starting to scan all those old council minute books that are there, and we're hoping we can get them all in a digital format. As I catalog and come across pictures, those are also being scanned. So our goal is to have at least all the pictures in the archive in digital format. So where do we go from here? So we were really happy at our last board meeting to announce that we were going to open Monday through Thursday to the public from 10 till noon and 1 till 5. The reason we're closing at 5 is one of the requirements the government puts on us is we have to have an hour every day that we're open to do cleaning. So that's why we close at 5. We are still offering curbside service to anyone who would like it. And this may be a service that we continue even after COVID is a memory. Someone brought up the point that some mothers come with their babies or whatever, and they're sleeping in their car, and they have to wake them up to bring them in the building just to pick up their books, where if they could phone in and we could do curbside service for them, it would be a great service for our community. Yesterday, Chinook Arch also emailed or phoned and told us that we are now receiving 2 shipments per week instead of 1 because our volume has increased so much. And as for programming, we're not entirely sure where that's going to go from here on. We're just going to take that on a case-by-case basis. So that's what we've been up to. I also emailed the budget. I think it's on the agenda as well. Did you want me to speak about it, or do you want to speak about it?
Anne can talk about any questions and stuff if anybody has any questions in regards to it.
We basically haven't changed anything other than the payroll, which gets changed every year. But as for increasing expenses like buying paper and stuff, we've kept everything the same as it was the year before. Thank you very much for letting me come and present this to you. Thank you for your support of the library. We really appreciate it.
So I hope you'll let us ask you some questions.
You bet.
Does anyone have any questions for Faye right now? So I do. I want you to explain the curbside to me.
Curbside is people can put books on hold online, and then they phone us and say, I'm coming to the library to pick up my books, and we take them out to their car
Oh, wow.
for them.
Okay. Okay, good. You had a few good comments. I liked your COVID, when COVID is a memory. That is
Yeah,
great.
that was nice thought.
I can't wait for that day. I hope it's
Me
sooner
neither.
than later.
We don't require masks at the library.
So you're still social distancing.
We do social distancing, and there's hand sanitizer everywhere in the building.
Great. Well, you do a great service to our community, and we're just trying to get the county to realize what a great service you're doing to our community, for our community, and they are part of our communities. Anyone else have any comments for Faye? We have your budget there. We'll be reviewing that, I'm sure. Go ahead, Councillor Foss. Go ahead.
Just a comment. Sorry, I'm thrilled to hear the report about the archive, because I know how impossible it probably would have been for the museum to get to the point where the library has been able to do with the archive. So I just sort of applauding the work that's happened there, and that council gave the library the space to be able to take on that.
I was gonna comment on that too, that would be a lot of work. So yeah, I bet you are grateful, and those in the museum. Any other thoughts or comments from anybody? If not, we appreciate you coming,
Thank you.
and we'll move on to our third delegation, I guess, Marty. These two have both kept it to 15 minutes, we're gonna put you on the hot spot too.
Yeah.
See ya.
Thank you.
Okay, Marty, go ahead.
All right, so on Thursday night, we had our Audit and Finance Committee meeting. The auditor came. Both Councillor Foss and Councillor
From.
Ron were there. Councillor Price was also in attendance via Zoom, so we were presented with the audited financial statements for 2019, which was 9 months ago, which makes this report kind of redundant and old, but we did get a clean audit opinion.
So let me stop you there first. He doesn't come here anymore to present to us, he just goes to your committee?
He will just come to the Audit and Finance Committee.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is appropriate.
I know.
It really is.
But, and we
that's one of
did
the
get,
slowest
we did
meetings
get
we
a
have.
draft, we did get the draft financial statements in the agenda package even, so you had a chance to review them. Go to the next statement, the first statement. This is the statement of consolidated financial position. So this basically is your balance sheet. And basically, we increased our long-term debt to get out of our operating lines of credit that we were so abundantly in 2018 and most of 2019. And so that's why 2019 cash position looks a lot better than what it did in 2018. And I'll tell you right now, 9 months later, our cash position looks even better than it did at this point in 2018. So we're headed in the right direction. Things are doing very well. We do have still a lot of trade and other receivables. We still have taxes receivables, which are pretty consistent from year to year. We do have some land for resale in our inventory. And so those kinds of things stay pretty much the same. Accounts payable is about the same. It's our, go back up, don't move. The temporary bank indebtedness is our line of credit, which we no longer are in. We've now taken on that long-term debt for all of those projects that we funded through our line of credit in the past 2 or 3 years. So that's the big focus I want to show on this one. The next statement is the statement of operations for the year. We're pretty close to our budget figures. We actually budgeted $7.7 million in revenues, and we actually got 7.3, which is pretty dang close when we're talking that kind of dollar value. We're up. Our revenues are up this year from 6.8 to 7.7. So we're doing pretty good there. Our expenses, we're a little bit over budget on a few of the items. Roads, streets, walks, and lighting were up by about $600,000, and we have a reason for that, which I will explain in just a few minutes. The other one is the amortization, which is a non-cash item, so it really has no effect on our cash position, but it shows that we spent we had $1.4 million in amortization, and we only budgeted $1 million. So next year we're not budgeting anything for amortization because it's a non-cash item. So when we budget, it's a non-cash item. It comes out for calculating for taxes anyway. So if you look at the $1.9 million excess or deficiency of revenues over expenses before our capital grants, you take off 1.4, we're about $500,000 short, which at the end of the day, we had $1.3 million, almost $1.3 million in capital grant revenues, which puts us in a plus position. Bottom line, it shows a $635,000 loss. Take out the 1.4 and our cash flow is a little bit better this year than it was in the prior years. Any other questions about that? We actually spent $2.3 million on capital projects last year, which is about $1.5 million less than the year before. So we're curbing our spending habits for capital purposes substantially this year and last year in 2019 and also in 2020. So
Good.
other than that, I think we're doing pretty good. It's so old that it's really irrelevant to the position that we're in today. So it's kind of hard to.
It's hard to take it apart too much then.
Yeah.
So Councillor Fromm, Councillor Foss, do you have any comments on this?
We were pretty satisfied on Thursday night. There were not any glaring issues. And Ralph was with us, and he's pretty thorough on these. He had studied the statements and didn't have any issues with them either. So
Good.
that makes me very happy. So
I'll just second that.
So any other questions for Marty? He's only been about 7 minutes and we gave him 15, so we can either go on
I
a
told
break.
you I'd be short.
We can either go on a break or we can move on.
I'm built this way.
Good job, Martin.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Thanks for presenting that.
So you'll pass the motion to accept the financial statements
We
later
will,
in the meeting?
yeah, when we get to it, right? Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to point 4, the approval of the minutes. September 1st, 2020 council minutes. Anybody have any questions, thoughts, discussion on that?
I'll move to accept those minutes.
Councillor Harker moves. All in favor? Okay, good. Okay, you got the council committee minutes of September 8th.
And I'll move those ones.
Councillor Fromm moves that, those minutes. Any questions, discussion? If not, all in favor? Okay. Financial report. You have the August bank reconciliation and you have the check listing. Any questions on any of them?
I just had one question. Can't remember where it was, but I thought, Martin's here, I thought we were buying the screen, but I noticed it was a rental.
We haven't paid for it yet.
Okay,
We decided to hold off on purchasing anything to see how well our drive-ins would do.
Okay.
And we're actually looking at getting a grant for the whole purchase of all the equipment that we need, so it won't cost the town anything.
okay. Well, I guess I kinda missed that, cause the last we talked that we
Yeah.
were going to
And
purchase it.
it's still in the works.
Okay, and then I
Trust
saw the rent and I thought, I was
Yeah.
confused, so thanks for
It takes
clarifying that.
Yeah.
It takes about 3 months to 6 months to actually get a screen that large.
Okay, yeah, okay, great. Thanks for the update on that one.
Anyone else have any questions?
We were anticipating something.
No other questions? We need a motion to approve finances.
I'll move.
Councillor Hagee makes that motion. Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
You want it done?
Okay, that's unanimous.
Oh, no.
Items for discussion, 6.1, bylaw 1093-20, the enforcement officer bylaws. Do you want to speak to this, Curtis?
Yeah, this has been brought to council a few months ago, actually. It was first brought to council meeting for discussion. First reading was given. Some changes were made to it. It's been advertised. This is basically just to meet some legislative requirements that we have to reference certain specific sections of the act. And we're just making sure that we're in compliance with the Municipal Government Act. And so to date, we haven't had any comments for or against any of the proposed changes. And so we're just looking to bring this to council if they're still in favor of having second reading. And then if possible, third reading as well.
Okay, any questions from anybody? I'm sure we all understand this. So we need someone to make that motion for second reading?
I'll move,
Let's go ahead,
go
Joe.
ahead, I'll move second reading on the 1093-20.
Councillor Harkin makes that motion. Any discussion then? Okay, if not, all in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. So 6.1.1, the 1.1, 6.1.1, that's the third reading of this bylaw, the same bylaw. Need a motion for
I'll
that?
move that.
Councillor Fromm. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, 6.2. The bylaw 970-10, the animals regulations bylaw amendment.
So again, this was brought to council quite a while ago. First reading was given. There were some questions about whether or not people were aware of what exactly the implications of the changes were being made, especially to those who may have felt that they were granted an animal permit in the past. We have sent out numerous notifications to the residents in those areas that potentially could have felt that they were entitled to an animal permit even though they potentially weren't. We're not looking at this time to change the specifics about the definition of what livestock is. That is something that the Bylaw and Policy Committee is looking to discuss further. All we're looking to do is just to update the map that's attached to the agenda, or sorry, to the bylaw. Previously, there was two different versions based on two previous readings of the bylaw, and it was pretty complicated and confusing to read. We had a hard time even trying to determine which application applied under what circumstance, and so we wanted to consolidate it and make it much more simple. There has been one change I did want to bring to your attention, though, on the map versus what you may have seen previously. On the map, there is a blue property. If you could pull, so it's going to be down at the bottom of the the bylaw. Yeah, and then scroll to the very bottom.
Let's go too fast.
So, keep going. Oh, there you go. So on that map there, you can kind of see in the southern middle portion of the map there is a blue square or rectangle. That was going to be considered under a certain classification, which was grandfather clause animal permit zone 2. The property owner who owns that property is actually approached and actually has requested that they're no longer be designated as that, but that they be designated as a red property, which is just a summertime pasture zone 1 parcel. And so what that does is that basically allows them to have animals just from that April through October timeframe that the bylaw specifies, up to 2 specified livestock if their property reaches or has the appropriate size requirements. And we don't have any problems with that change. That will effectively eliminate the previous classification category of grandfather clause zone 2. And so that will further simplify our bylaw and schedule. And so what we're proposing is that council, if there is no reservations with at least updating the map, you can always discuss this again in the future if you're wanting to discuss chickens or bees or other types of land use applications for animals, that we can assess it then. But if you're okay with this, we'd like a motion to accept and approve third reading of the animal bylaw, which will allow us to have a current map that we're using going forward. As amended, so with that change of, there won't be a blue square on the map, there won't be a Zone 2 summer pasture clause, or animal permits clause, sorry, it'll all just be summer pasture permits Zone 1, or not allowed.
Okay.
I'll move that.
Counselor Fong makes that
First
motion.
reading as amended on the map.
Okay, everybody understand what he's talking about? Okay. You have the motion on the floor then? So I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Okay, guess it was unanimous. Okay. We'll move on to 6.3, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities correspondence. This is pretty interesting.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, award that we're getting all across Canada. Greg, you want to speak to this?
Sure. I've been speaking to it a lot lately. Just to give you the importance and the impact of this, it's not common for small municipalities to even be on a stage such as FCM. FCM is an organization that basically represents all Canadian municipalities coast to coast to coast, and they single out usually projects every year that sort of meet their criteria. And so, we actually were nominated. We went through that nomination process during the summer. It was certainly something that I had a hard time keeping to myself, but I managed to do all right. And then we found out in August that we were actually selected as winner in the energy category. There's 9 winners with various categories. That's it for all of Canada for the 2020. So you can say a lot of things about 2020, but this one's a good one. I've already been approached. I was did a CBC interview this afternoon on their radio road program. This gets attention. This gets a lot of attention, and how a small community like Raymond can be on the national stage again.
Of course, ahead of that other Raymond community that Faye was talking about.
Yeah. Raymond, Quebec hasn't had a thing on us.
Well, that's great. We really appreciate administration, what you've done there too.
So we will be making a TEDx style presentation at FCM virtually because the FCM doesn't have they're not doing an actual in-person convention, they're all doing it online. We hope that they'll be able to share that on our site just to sort of see how that approach works. Again, it's an incredible opportunity. We just take it for granted as Raymondites. We see solar panels and it's no big deal. And a lot of people think, well, it's a small town, that's easy to achieve. It's no different for us to achieve than a city. It's the scale of the market and their budgets. So kudos to you guys for that was one of the first hard decisions you guys had to make, and I give you full credit for being willing to kind of take a chance and seeing the vision of the impact that this has. This makes Raymond one of the most sustainable communities in Canada by doing that, by generating everything we need with proof positive.
Can't wait to see the trophy they're mailing you.
I hope it is coming.
I hope it's huge.
I hope it's huge too. There is a trophy.
Is there?
Yeah, there definitely is.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We're gonna have it alarmed so Martin stays away from it.
That's great.
It's really good.
But if we could just have a motion, I guess, just accepting the correspondence and the acknowledgement from FCN.
Need a motion on that? Someone want to make that
I'll
motion?
make that motion, I
What
don't
you
know
said.
what we're doing, whatever you said. Whatever you said.
Just to accept the
Acknowledging.
correspondence and basically the notification of our award.
Okay, good. We have a motion on the floor by Councillor Harker. Any discussion? Comments? Then all in favor? Okay, good. Okay, 6.4. This is the stay of enforcement request.
So I'll actually trade spots here with our Development Officer, Mark Boltazar, and he can speak to this matter.
Okay,
Yeah, it's fine. Yep.
Hi there. Just wanted to let you know a little bit about a little bit of a briefing that I gave you last week there, that I've been working with the property owner and the renters of 260 East Railway Street. And today they actually gave me a email notification here requesting an extension to a stop order in which the town has placed on this property to remove the vehicles that have been in place here. So I'll let you guys just kind of read this. We do have the applicant here tonight to make a verbal presentation as well. And a little bit more about the subject, just a little bit more of a background, is that in 2012, a development permit was issued for an automotive sales business to be operating out of this spot in 2012. In 2016, the development officer, Ethan Gorner, at the time, started the enforcement of the conditions of the development permit were not met in 2016. The licensing for AMVIC, which is the provincial regulation license, was not upkept. A Town of Raven business license wasn't upkept for the business operation. And so then in 2019, we went and proceeded with the enforcement of the removals of the storage of vehicles to the owner of the property, and also the tenant who was storing it. And then in August 8th of 2020, the tenant, Mr. Tom Stevens, did pass away, and their estate is now dealing with the vehicle removal. They have made some progress, but their extension request is for 1 year up until September 15th of 2021. And I would like to maybe turn the floor a little bit over to a verbal presentation from the estate of Amy Stevens.
Okay. Is it Amy that's gonna talk?
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
please.
Can I just sit here then?
Come a little bit closer. Not trying to hear you.
Sorry, where do you want me?
Just stand at the podium, it's fine.
Okay. First of all, I just wanted to mention, I have to echo the first lady who spoke about the cemetery, having spent time in the cemetery as a result of this. I have to say, it was beautiful. The gazebo's really nice, looking really nice. Also, I think that, obviously quite sad reasons why we're here, but we've been really so struck by the generosity of people in Raymond. Even some members of the council have brought food, and I've just been really touched by how wonderful everyone has been. Also, we've had lots of, really good laughy times and memories, and also realizing that, we're not, I guess, sort of ignorant of the fact that my dad was kind of an interesting character. So you can't imagine the things that we have sort of encountered, many of things I will not talk about, but one of the things that we have found is that he has over, I think at last count, he has over 300 cars that we have located. So we have a very tall and steep climb ahead of us trying to get rid of them. They're all in various forms of, I would say, disrepair largely. And so it's gonna take quite a while to get rid of them. We're also sort of hampered by the fact that we don't have a dealer license, which he had. Also the auctions in Edmonton and Calgary are backed up because they have all these hail damaged vehicles that always come into play now. And then everything kind of goes dead after, they said November 21st. So then the season opens up again in April. So we have this big dead season. However, we have made a fair amount of progress since we've been here. We've also cleaned up the property a fair amount, mowed the lawn, removed all the vehicles from the front of the building, aside from one we were keeping there. And none of the siblings live in Alberta, so we've come from all corners of North America. I'm in Quebec, Michael's in Las Vegas, Thomas is in Austin, We had, so those three of us have been up in Canada. I didn't have to quarantine, these guys did. But they quarantined on-site in RVs so we could work those 2 weeks while they were quarantining, and we did make a lot of progress. What we have put in place now is what I call the machine, which is several contractors that we have who are going to be diagnosing vehicles, figuring out how we're going to deal with them while we're gone, because we can't stay. They've got kids that need to go back to school. We all have jobs. We've already been here for, well, these guys have been out of normal, process for a month. For me, it's been about 3 weeks. So we're hoping to move as quickly as we can. I mean, we're also like having to put personal funds in this thing to get it going. So it's very stressful. And yeah, we're just asking for an extension. Obviously COVID makes this very difficult as well, because if the boys come up again, they have to quarantine another 2 weeks, which is very difficult. So we're asking the council for a year, and we hope that will work.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Amy. You can have a seat, and if they have any questions, they can.
Any questions for Amy from anybody?
I'll stand for a minute longer.
I did want to make a comment. I drove by it today coming home from work, and it does look a lot nicer. With all those vehicles, like no vehicles in front, everything's mowed. There's probably about half as many vehicles as there used to be in the back.
Yeah.
It looks, you guys have done a lot of work, a lot of good work there.
Thanks.
So how have you got rid of so many already? Like, did they just come and,
We took a lot to the cruncher, sent
Okay.
a lot to just be disposed of. We sold a few. We've shipped some of them out, to get fixed. Fair amount of damage, as I mentioned. So those aren't coming back to the property. Just various things.
so how many's left there right now?
At present, how many do we have at present?
Between 40 and 50 vehicles are on the lot currently.
40
Yeah.
or 50?
Yeah.
So our peace officers have been dealing with this, and you, Mark, what's your feelings on this?
Yeah. Feelings that the estate of Mr. Stevens has been really good to work with and communicate. The lines of communications have been open with these guys, so I feel like progress is being made. And there was two routes that these guys were asking, as well as either a deferral of enforcement or trying to obtain the proper permit so that they can kind of run the business. And my feelings was that the deferral of enforcement is maybe a little bit more advantageous in this situation, because if they were to make applications to run the business, it's not really their intent, is from what I have known, is that if they can try and get an AMVIC license and a development permit and try and go that route, but it's a little bit of a steeper route to take, and it's not really necessarily their intent to do it. It is a lot that is industrial. It does have an industrial purpose. And so by giving them an enforcement, I think is a reasonable recommendation from our development side of things. I think they are making steps in the right direction, and it could conclude what their intent of trying to do is to clean it up rather than getting the permits so that they can get more time to clean up the property. So I think the extension is the right way to go. The timeline of September 15th is maybe the one that might be up for debate as to what's reasonable, and that's a difficult one to come up with.
So that was my next question, is why a year from now?
300 cars is a lot. I could show you the financials. I actually did sort of a spreadsheet of what types of vehicles we have, how much labor is required per type of vehicle. Obviously, we care about the profits, and then we kind of laid it out over time. So how many cars can I sell? Because we can't take them to auction. So how many cars can I sell on Kijiji in a month? How many can you expect to sell, right? And so we have 3 different people in different locations set up to do that, but 1 a week, 2 a week, You know, you've got 300 cars, it's a lot. It's really a lot. And there's a dead season, right? Between November and April, even on Kijiji, you're not gonna sell anything that isn't four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. I've learned a lot about the car business since I started. These are not words I would have said a month ago. So, it's a lot. I mean, I'm happy to show the financials actually, but I haven't prepared for today. But when you think about those numbers, if you can only liquidate 12 vehicles a month, that's what your projection is. To do 300 it's a lot. You
So
know?
where's your other cars at? You have them here and where else?
There's a huge lot in Tabor. There are a bunch on Spencer Depew's property. There are a bunch at Rick Molnar's place. I could keep going. There's a bunch at Perk's place. There's a guy Reese, I don't know, Steve Reese. There's a guy, Joe Giesbrecht. There's some at Airport.
Oh, shoot.
It's insane.
All
Like
over.
literally, we keep finding more. It's insane.
You know, under the circumstances, what can we do other than this? I mean, we've gotta do something,
Well,
you know?
yeah.
It makes sense. And there's a chance that you might have it done before September 15th.
We would love that, because I don't like doing this.
You don't wanna do this forever.
This is not that much fun, right?
I would rather be home. Yeah.
If you guys need any cars.
Yeah.
Did you wanna mention the lease? One other reason why we had the year lease is that we currently have at least a verbal agreement for an extension of the year lease with the property owner currently. And we're hoping to hit that date, but we'll see.
So we have pressure.
Right, and I did speak with the property owner today. She was inquiring about what's going on, and she said that she has granted up to a 1 year maximum of the deferral, but she also wished that it could be done a little bit sooner. And she said that about 6 months was what she was hoping for, but she would grant 1 year. Is what I was told. But she has verbally agreed for the 1 year from the landowner perspective. That's true. But again, she is hoping for something maybe a little bit sooner as well. So, I'm just bringing some information to light to these guys so that they can make a
We
decision.
have explored other avenues, because there's plenty, you know, everyone knows, these are new people to me, but Yanzi is constantly moving cars. But he doesn't wanna take anything in like, that isn't, I think, 5 years old or newer. And most of what we have has been sitting for a long time, so it's like 2010 to like early, 1996 is kind of like the bulk of the vehicle collection, let's call it. And then there's a ton of them that just are damaged, they're just dents and, things that need to be fixed, so.
So tell me again, you're from Quebec and then your brothers are from Las Vegas, from the States anyway?
Las Vegas, Austin, those are the two that were here. I'm normally in New York actually, but I've been in Quebec since March due to COVID. Yeah, so none of us are even close by.
Another sibling in, a brother in Oregon, a sister in Utah, another sister in Toronto, 7 of us total.
So I can see it's difficult for you to try to come up here and work and do this. Is it even possible? Like, I know you did it now, but are you gonna be able to keep coming back?
So, Amy, do you have somebody here that's helping you do all this?
The machine.
Like you've assigned, you have the machine here that's helping you do all this?
We have 3
It's Joe
mechanics.
Canyon mechanics that are working on the cars and getting them ready to sell.
Yeah, so we have several people who are been hired to transport vehicles, 2 mechanics, people who are assigned to sell vehicles, people who are detailers. Like we essentially have sort of 3 channels, and I'm just hoping to see who's gonna perform the best and double down on that person, whoever that ends up being. But, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm not into, none of us, I'm into working remotely. I'm like, let's just do this all remote if we can. Obviously, I'm the one that can travel the easiest, so I assume at some point I'll be back to maybe just manage people, but, use technology. We've got a million spreadsheets and this is your job, get that done, this is your timeline. It's pretty organized. You can see spreadsheets.
Well, I actually feel pretty hopeful because there won't be any, you're not buying any new vehicles, right?
No.
That's why I'm feeling
We're
hopeful,
not buying
because
new vehicles.
we know that your dad was always buying new vehicles, right?
Yeah.
That was the fun of it for him, right?
Right.
I know that.
And the bane of everyone else's existence, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, and I have to say that given the history and all the letters that Pam Searcy sent out to Margaret and to your dad, and Mike, I think you were CC'd on a lot of them, it's a little bit ridiculous, but I really don't see anything else we can do. I think that your dad's passing, which is so unfortunate, is something that you can't change. There are no options, so I think we should allow this deferral, and
Yeah, I do too.
ready to vote on it.
We had to make a motion first.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like you want that 1 year, but if you can get it done in 6 months, you'd rather get that done.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
The 1 year is just kind of a safe date,
Yeah.
that you can get it done by then, but you're gonna try and do it sooner.
I think 6 months is a stretch, so it might
Yeah.
be
Yeah, I do
more like
too.
10 or-
But any sooner is
It's pretty hard to do
good.
it over winter.
Some siblings have said 1 year is a stretch, but we are
Yeah.
optimistic, we are currently optimistic.
Good.
Okay, Councillor Peters? Councillor,
First off, I can totally understand it, and I feel for the family for the struggles that they have. It's an incredible, difficult thing to come in and have to clean up Dad's business. I've done it, not to the extent that you had to do. The unfortunate part about it is, I think Ron, Councilor Frank kind of alluded to this, is the frustration council has felt for the last year and a half of trying to deal with this property, and not much progress was done. I think a year is too long. I really do. I was really comfortable with when the property owner came and presented that she was looking towards end of the month, end of December, sorry. And that was what I was hoping for, to get this cleanup resolved. Now that you hear this on the side of the story you're dealing with is challenging, but I really would rather push that 6 to 8 months. That year is a long time.
okay, good comment. Yeah, I'm not sure. Because I don't know much about this, what you're trying to do, it's hard for me to make the call on how quick it could be. I'm just going by what you're telling us, so.
The difficult thing is the timing of the year, because it's hard to move vehicles from November to April,
Which is the next
Which-
6 months.
which
Yeah.
is the next 6 months.
8 months.
You know, because a lot of auction mart stuff, they shut down come winter time. Like car auctions. So it is,
So these are mostly
But
you.
I guess I'll ask a question.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Councillor
Sorry to
Caput.
cut you guys off. I'm wondering, to what level are they trying to get rid of the vehicles? And again, I'm not in their situation, but if they're gonna take a year to try and get them all back up to operating order so they can get top dollar, or if they're just trying to get them for parts and get rid of them, is there a difference as to what their business plan is, I guess?
Do you understand that question?
I mean, are you asking if we're wanting to liquidate, just sell at a discount, just have a fire sale?
Yes, so ideally, if you have people working on to get them back into operational condition to get as much as you can, or is it you're just trying to get rid of them for whatever you can get based on the condition of the vehicles as they are today?
Well, I mean, therein sort of lies the mystery of most businesses, right? Like where do you want to find your profit? Where, what makes the most sense? I would say there's some give and take there. A lot of things have already been sent to the junker. We've just been like, this is a total loss. We get $100 for those. I would say there's some give and take to that. I can't really give you a clear answer. Are we willing to have a fire sale? I would say no. No one wants to do that. Everyone wants a fair price for what they have. I don't know if you guys know the circumstances of everything else that's happening, but very bad things have happened financially to the family because of some unforeseen things that don't need to be discussed here. But there is a lot of financial pressure on the family at the moment. So we're not willing to sell things for below market. We're wanting to make, I guess, intelligent decisions because it's not like, I guess we have the money to lose is what I'm trying to tell you. It's not, we're not willing to have a fire sale, but I wouldn't say we're trying to repair every dent or anything like that, but not quite sure how to answer the question otherwise. There's a happy medium there somewhere.
I think that's a good answer. I hear you, Amy.
I do too.
And there are nuances, there are things that we're not talking about right now. And I certainly don't wanna see you guys, you know, the Stevens siblings penalized for a lot of stuff that's going on right now, so. I'm in favor of this,
I'm
request.
absolutely confident that the Stevens
That you will
children
do it and
will.
that you can do it.
I know you guys, you're responsible, you're gonna have it done. I'd rather have you have it done in a year than feel pressure and, you know, cause a lot of grief with your own personal families just because we've already waited, so what's another 6 months? We know it's gonna happen, we know that you're not bringing new vehicles in. I say we just go ahead and let them do their work.
Councillor
And I'm
Foss,
confident that you're gonna do it.
Councillor Foss, you had a comment?
Yeah, I was just gonna add, and maybe it's already been said and unnecessary, but I think the scale that this family's dealing with, in these unfortunate circumstances, I don't know what else we can do but to grant this extension. And if we're at a point where we're ready to move on this, I'm happy to make that motion that we grant this extension, or the stay of, what is it, stay of prosecution or enforcement.
Enforcement,
I support you, Councillor Foss.
so do I.
And that's till September of September 15th of 2021. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm thinking, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Any more discussion on this? We've talked a little bit about it. It's, yeah, you're, I guess you're all entering into something you've never done before, right? This is tough and,
Yeah.
and you might find that it might be even tougher as you get into it. You can't sell a lot of those ones and you're gonna
Yeah.
spend some money, then you might end up junking them anyway,
Mhm.
which is gonna be misfortunate for you.
So the fire sale date will come closer to September 2021.
Yes.
So you don't have to do that today.
Thank you.
One comment that, I mean, we wanna comply with the town, of course, but one comment we keep hearing from all of his work associates is, Dad works so hard on those cars, do not give those away. So we're trying to keep our dad happy, honor him by continuing the hard work he did, but at the same time complying with the town's requests.
So just another question, as I've driven by, I've seen you've had different prices on cars. Did they sell?
Some of them sold, yeah,
You did, eh?
yeah.
They're all gone, they're not there anymore.
I didn't know if you moved them or if they sold them, so. I
Some
don't
of them
know.
got moved, but some of them sold.
They did, eh? Okay, cause you had different prices, some I thought were high, some I thought were low.
Anything you liked?
I'm not looking for one right now, but I'm just, she's a salesman already.
Yeah, you're good, Amy.
She's
Yeah,
doing
learning,
good, Amy's
learning.
doing good.
Okay, well, there's a motion on the floor by Councillor Foss, so any other discussion from anybody? Okay, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? We have one opposed, so it's 5-1. Okay, so you're good for, and I hope it's sooner, but you're good till then.
Me too.
And your dad was interesting, but he was beloved by a lot of people too. He had a lot of good
Okay.
friends.
Yeah.
He was a one in a million,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
An interesting, esoteric man, for sure.
Thanks.
Well, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Thanks for coming in.
So everyone, if you just take a minute to refresh your screen, we just added the acceptance of the financial statements next, so that if Martin wants to go home, he can. So when you refresh your screen, all we're looking for is just a motion to formally accept the financial statements as presented.
Is that next
As
in
Martin
line?
said, it was 6.6.
Okay, so that's not next. the
Sorry,
library.
I apologize. I
That's fine.
moved it to the wrong one. We'll do library.
Okay, that's usually me skipping. So next 6.5, library board appointment.
So as mentioned to the delegation, there has been a change in the library board organization. Charlene Graves has been appointed as the chair, and they're looking to add an additional member to that committee, which I believe is Kara Hartley. And since council is the organization that appoints, approves, or disapproves the appointments to that, we're just looking for a motion from council to either approve or not approve the appointment of Kara Hartley to the library board.
So she is not here tonight, which I'm surprised.
Well, she just had baby. She just had baby.
She did have it?
Yes, she did.
Girl.
Good for her.
She's good support. She comes here every week.
She needed a boy, didn't she, to balance things out? Or not?
She needed a girl.
Oh, she needed a girl, so they're balanced now. Good.
There you go.
Okay, we need someone to make the motion for Kara Hartley.
I'll move.
Councillor Harker. So any discussion on this? Kara will be great. She's involved in the community, so that's great. All in favor? Okay, good. Okay, now to 6.6, the audited financial statement acceptance.
So yeah, just as I mentioned before, I got a little excited. We're just looking for a motion from council to accept the 2019 audited financial statements as presented. As was mentioned, the auditors found a clean audit. We have been able to, I guess, reverse course a little bit and perhaps make some changes in direction of where the town was going previously to kind of get our financial situation in a bit more of a sustainable and stronger position. And we are pleased to report that, as the Audit and Finance Committee saw on that meeting, that we are very much in line with our projections for 2020, and that the 2020 audit financial statements will be even in a far better position than they were in 2018. So,
I'll move acceptance of the financials.
Okay, Councillor Fromm moves. Councillor Capiters, you have a comment?
I was gonna move, but he jumped in
Oh,
front.
sorry. Go ahead, Rex.
Okay, I wasn't sure you had a comment on it. Okay, well, there's a motion on the floor by Councillor Fromm, so. Any other discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? You're good, Marty?
Thank you.
Thanks, Martin.
Now I need some signatures.
Okay, we'll go to 6.7, the Municipal Stimulus Program Project. Go ahead, Curtis.
a few months ago, the province of Alberta finally released the details behind the municipal stimulus program project grant program. $504,124 has been allocated to the town of Raymond. The projects that have the requirements, I guess, for funding for projects to be accepted or to help promote the economic recovery of the province, both short-term and long-term. And so council has discussed this. Most of it was done in closed session just due to the nature that we are potentially working with a few private third parties on business ventures, and potential land deals or projects tend to increase in price when they're publicly known. And so that was the rationale for a lot of the discussion being in closed session. However, council has settled on providing the $504,124 during last committee meeting to the Sugar City Municipal Development Corporation to act as their seed funding to get their first development project operational. The Development Corporation's purpose is to work with existing developers as well as existing landowners to further market their properties for fine success, to also target housing types and styles that may not be necessarily represented as much in the community, and have some of the return on investment from those capital projects actually be returned back to the town as in the form of improvements to parks, playgrounds, sports fields, pavement of roads and other improvements to infrastructure. So we're just looking basically for a motion from council to approve the allocation of the municipal stimulus program funding to the Sugar City Development Corporation, Ellison Siding Development, and from there we will make sure the application is in by October 1st to meet the deadline.
Okay, we've Councillor Harker makes that motion. We've hashed this out for several weeks, trying to decide what we wanted to do with that money, and this is what we decided. So, Councillor Harker made the motion. Any discussion on this? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Move to 6.8, 300 East traffic concerns update. You'll see an email that Curtis and I got on this. Go ahead.
Just bring up the map.
It's coming, sorry.
So with that motion too, we will be, that you just made, we'll be updating the capital grant schedule as well to reflect that addition, so.
Okay.
The last, the Town of Raymond 2008. A few months ago, we did receive an email request from a property owner on 300 East complaining about traffic speeds and danger to children in the area. Council heard the concerns and at the time it instructed administration to relocate the digital traffic speed display signs that we have down that street just to have drivers be aware of what the speeds were. The property owner has sent a subsequent follow-up email now that the signs have been up and realized that I can't say no one, but the vast majority of traffic going along there wasn't speeding. It's still their opinion though that the speed is too fast for a residential street. And so she's just hoping that council will take that into consideration going forward. And so at the time when the first email came in, I did say that I would review it. The map that you see here, and I do apologize for the delay, but we have a reduced number of staff that we've had since 2008, and we're still trying to do all the same projects, and so it has taken us a little bit longer than we would have liked to have gotten some of these matters. But this is the 2008, the Town of Raymond had a transportation master plan completed. This is the map from that document that shows what the potential road network will look like in 2028. As you can tell, the map is very not current. In 2008, we didn't have a very large subdivision developed, or it had just started to be developed, in the southwest, a development on the southeast, and a development on the east side, east of the golf course hadn't yet happened. Development west of the schools had not yet happened. And so much has changed since this map has been done. However, the lines that are on there I think are still current. And so just to briefly go over those with you, anywhere you see a red line, that is either an existing arterial road, or if there's a checkered red line, it's a proposed arterial road. And the purpose of those roads are to facilitate the free flow of traffic as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Once you dig down into the blue roads, they're collector streets. We're kind of a step behind, below, and then the yellow or just any other street in town would just be a local road. Raymond, the red would effectively be our ring road on a much smaller scale, obviously. But when you look at the map a bit further, you will notice orange circles at select intersections. Those orange circles actually had traffic counts taken on them, and this was 12 years ago, and we have had significant growth, and so whether or not they're necessarily as current as they are now is still to be determined. But the general consensus then was that under any metric that exists in traffic management planning, the Town of Raymond has maybe one or two locations that would warrant a stop sign, nothing more. And so that's obviously not practical. There's going to be local nuances that we're going to want to address. But some of the requests by the property owner for a four-way stop, a cul-de-sac, speed bumps, administratively we don't feel are in the best interest of that area, and for a simple reason is that that street really has no difference to any other street in town. And if you were to make an allowance in this respect for one property owner, I'm pretty sure there'd be at least one property owner on pretty much every other street that would probably feel the same way. And so if council was wanting to do something to slow down traffic, the best course of action would be to actually reduce the speed throughout the entire community to either 30 or 40 from 50. And not just in select areas. Stonegate Meadows has been done, and there is an argument that could be made that you can do it there because there's only one road in and out of the development at present. It's separated by the golf course. It's pretty easy to sign and let people know of that change. But to have it done on just an odd street throughout the rest of the community would make it very difficult and confusing for drivers to be aware of what the speed is on what specific block. And so that is our recommendation, that council actually not make any of the recommended changes. That has been requested. We can definitely encourage the residents to make sure that they are not driving faster than the speed limit and to be cautious of children at play, but it's also crucial that children learn and understand that the road is not their playground. That's what properties are for in driveways and other areas, parks and playgrounds. And I do recognize that some areas are lacking sidewalks. And that's something that potentially can be addressed going forward, but it's not something that we can do at present. And so if we did want to make a change to address this, it would be a community-wide reduction in speed, as some communities have done. But if you were to go down that route, I would definitely recommend that you take a minute to get public input on that.
So if I can comment, since 2008, we have listened to the public. We have had a few changes, stop signs placed at different spots, as we've tried to kind of control the flow of traffic, especially on those blue line, those collector streets, right? We've tried to do things, and I think we are listening. But like you say, I think it's working pretty good, and I think we will continue to listen to the public and try to change or listen to different ideas they have. We've got pedestrian signs up now. We've got pedestrian crossing signs. We've got there's other things that we've been doing. I like these signs that people can see how fast they're going. We place our peace officers there on different streets to try to slow people down by visibility of them. I think we've done a lot. I think we've done well anyway trying to do that. I'm not sure. Any other comments from anybody else on this? If not, I think I agree with Curtis. I think we're doing a good job, and once 845 is paved, I think you'll see that become a big, there'll be a lot of traffic moving down 845.
And fewer traffic going down the street that is being blocked.
Right, the 200 east, yeah.
I just think that, how would, if you can't really make it in one area, like Curtis said, and how do you enforce all of a sudden something in one area and not another? I mean, it's hard enough out in Stonegate, there's probably still people that are speeding on that road, so.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
It is hard.
you can't.
Yeah.
It's hard to go 30.
And I appreciate the children that play and all that, but at some point in time, kids do need to learn that maybe they shouldn't play on the road. I mean, I think that goes without saying,
So again, I think we've listened well. I think we put signs in places. We ask our CPOs to go to different areas and patrol. I think we've done well.
I think we're on the right track.
I do too. Okay. Any other comment from anybody?
Mayor,
Councillor Foss?
the only thing I'd add is I'm not necessarily opposed to townwide reduction. I think I tend to agree with the idea that having sort of a piecemeal approach to it maybe isn't ideal, but there are enough neighborhoods where I think there would be benefit in the speed reduction that perhaps we consider that going forward. And I live right downtown, and I've brought up a few times about my issues in downtown safety. I wouldn't mind seeing, I know that's only 30, but I wouldn't even mind seeing that go slower, more like a parking lot speed limit of 15 or 20. But that's perhaps a longer term discussion about how we consider adjusting those speed limits throughout town.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't heard that discussion yet for uptown to go that slow. So the Nanton has theirs at 40. We've never really discussed having our speed limit changed to 40 throughout town. So the highway going through Nanton's at 50 and everything else is at 40. Anyway, just a thought.
City of Airdrie did that too.
Airdrie did?
Yeah. Down to 40.
So the main roads are 50 and
All the residential and everything's all 40. Yeah.
And the freeway's 110. So you're flying through there.
I agree with Councillor Foss that, maybe that is a discussion we have later. But I also agree that you can't do in one part of town, not the other. It's gotta be like,
It has to
you
be
gotta
in
blanket the whole
uniform.
town. If we decide to do it, it's gotta be the whole town.
We really
Just like Nanton and Airdrie did.
We really haven't had any complaints though throughout other areas of town. Where there has been some complaints, we put up stop signs to try to slow people down. So to me, I think we're on the right track.
I do too.
Me too.
Mayor,
Councillor Capeters.
Mayor,
Yeah, go ahead.
maybe this is for Curtis or for Greg or somebody, but do we have any accident reports based on high speeds in town where there are some intersections that are of more concern, or some roads that are more concerned, or has everything kind of been business as usual? Okay.
I'm sure there is data. I do not have access to that data. It's something I'd probably have to request from the RCMP. I have not done that. But to my knowledge, there haven't been a high amount of accidents at intersections within the community. That may just be anecdotal, and if you'd like more of a researched opinion on that, we can definitely do that. But we were mainly just going off of our transportation master plan. Just of note, I have requested a firm to give us an updated price to redo and review and renew this plan with maybe some of the current reality, because I think it's been 12 years. It may be time, with a lot of growth that we've had, to get a more realistic or present day picture of what it looks like. But I'll have that for you to bring at a later date.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
You know, because it's grown a lot in 12 years.
Yeah, there's some brand new neighborhoods with lots of people and vehicles.
So a new assessment would probably be great.
Yeah, just the bridge crossing, all the kids down there now.
Yeah.
And all the people.
And if we can have a firm that likes traffic circles, that'd be helpful.
Oh, that would be so good. I sent a picture to Curtis. There's a brand new one in Lethbridge that's just so awesome.
They look good on this map. There's the little gold circles on all
Honestly.
the key intersections.
Well,
I've done my best to not say anything, but you all know where I sit on that.
In Lethbridge, they actually took out a traffic light and just put a little teeny
And put
traffic,
circling
it's
there, it
beautiful.
Works like a charm.
Yeah, it works
Checks
like
in
a
the mail,
charm.
Council
It's a
Foss.
single
Really?
lane one.
Let's
It's a
see
double
let's see
lane
how it
and
works
people
after
don't know how to
first
use
hockey
it.
game.
They don't.
That's right.
I was in West Lethbridge the other day and
Double lane ones are
they,
difficult.
they don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
They're in the one lane and they just cross right over.
We
I've
wouldn't
been-
have
I've
any
been
double
almost
lane
it.
ones, we just
Yeah.
have single lane ones there.
And we'd have one of our our vehicle dealership guy would be running us over, running
Yeah, furious at
it
us.
over. Anyway, let's move on. 6.9, the Municipal Heliport Committee dates. Go ahead, Curtis.
As has been discussed, Transport Canada has deemed the Raymond Hospital location, where we have been having air ambulances such as STARS or Halo land, as a built-up environment now, and is no longer eligible to be landing just on a grass field. If we want to continue landing there, then there needs to be significant capital improvements and annual operating costs to ensure that they're maintained and that all the reports are kept and filed accurately, which could run you upwards of $750,000. We're not sure that is necessarily in the community's interest, and so Alberta Health Services does have a air ambulance committee that effectively comes to work with municipalities. We have chosen a stakeholder group of relevant parties that include doctors, hospital administration, the fire department, members of council and administration, to sit on that. And this is the proposed couple of dates that we are sending out. I have not heard back from anyone with AHS yet on the heliport committee, but the members of council who have been appointed have got back to me. It's the 24th. Councillor Copeters, am I correct? And that was the preferred date? So the 24th has
Yes.
the consensus of everyone. However, that is during AUMA in the afternoon for those that are going to be watching the virtual session. And so if we were to go down that route, those who are on that committee would just have to step out momentarily for that. It does work with the hospital administrator. And I'm assuming it would work with AHS because they've selected these two dates for the rest of their representatives. So
Who else is on that committee?
the hospital administrator, the new hospital
No,
administrator.
From council.
Okay, Councillor Copeters, Councillor Harker, and Councillor Heggie. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yes. And I haven't heard back from you yet, Councillor Heggie, if either of those work.
I could probably make them work.
Okay.
Probably the 24th.
No, it's interesting, stars can land anywhere, any highway, any place, but they can't land by our hospital now. That doesn't make any sense. So
Makes no sense,
I hope that's your argument when you're talking.
no sense.
Well, part of the rationale
Now
is
they can't.
if it's on a highway, it's a one-off emergency, they're gonna respond. But if there's a consistency of landings in a certain area, then the I guess the realities of that location come into play. And so if there's been further houses that have been developed, potentially things that are across their flight paths, they're technically not allowed to travel over houses unless the municipality has actually designated a municipal heliport where they've gotten these reports that are annually reported and kept current, which show where the possible physical obstructions are, et cetera. And so, in all reality, there's other alternatives where we could actually designate an area that may not be built to that standard, that is in a less populated area, or the part of this committee will help just to decide perhaps Raymond's response will be that if there is an emergency, that they're just ground ambulance to Lethbridge and then taken out from Lethbridge versus here. And so there's a bunch of different options and variables that need to be considered. STARS actually did land a couple of weeks ago in Raymond again, so we've probably had 3 or 4 this year. We landed them at a different location, which seems to work for now. We'll see how long we can keep landing it there and move it over maybe 25 feet at a time, so it's at a different spot. But we do need to go through this process regardless of what the decision is, and then we can at least move forward with some form of certainty how we're fitting.
Okay. So I hope when you go, you represent us well.
So I will get back to AHS then, that September 24th. From 1 to 2:30 is the desired date. And we will go from there.
Okay. 6.10, the 2020 AUMA Convention Resolutions. Curtis.
Every year at AUMA, obviously municipalities are able to submit resolutions. This is the 2020 booklet of the proposed resolutions from the communities in the province. Raymond does have one listed here that is talking about having our peace officers be considered for funding in the new enhanced policing formula. It's resolution 2020 point B7. Those who, as you know, when we do go to AUMA, every member of council is there, and every community that's there, and every member of every elected official from every community is voting on a resolution. And sometimes votes matter, depending on what side of a perspective you're on. We very much feel that having communities that have been chosen to have peace officer programs versus paying for a designated RCMP officer have been penalized in this process. And it's nothing against the RCMP, but we feel that there's systemic challenges that the RCMP face just with meeting their original staffing protocols, never mind additional employees and to be located, officers to be located within the community. And also the RCMP either don't or aren't eager to do certain bylaw enforcements that is critical for the community that we've discussed. And so having the peace officers allows it to actually be a provincial ticket that you can't just ignore. If we don't have a peace officer program and we just have a bylaw enforcement officer, there really is no recourse. People can just choose to ignore writing the ticket. And that really doesn't benefit us in any way, shape, or form. But if they choose to ignore the provincial ticket, that goes to court, and they'd have to fight it in that legal forum. And so we do feel that there's tremendous benefit to the peace officer program, especially it being shared on a regional model, and we do feel that that should be taken into consideration in this funding formula, especially considering how we've already been told that it doesn't matter how much money we're going to be contributing to this, we won't see any bodies or boots on the ground benefiting the Raymond detachment, just due to the fact that despite public sentiments, we're one of the lowest crime areas in the province, and they're not going to send their resources here. And so that's the purpose of that. So I would just encourage every member of council, if possible, to figure out when the virtual voting will be, and if you can't attend the entire committee, just to at least make sure you can attend the vote. It will probably be in the first session because it is right up at close to the top. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
So can you, go ahead, Joan.
How will we be voting? I mean, at AUMA, we have our little voting pads.
I'm not sure
Like,
yet.
how do they make sure that you don't vote 10 times?
I'm not sure
like,
yet.
You know,
Can you pinpoint when it's gonna happen too?
We'll do our best.
And yeah, we wanna all be able to vote, so just try to help us out on that, or confirm that to us.
Yeah, we definitely wanna get as much support for this as we can.
And what about a spokesman for it? Does someone, they gonna do it the same way? Is someone gonna speak to it?
I don't know the details yet. I'm still trying to ascertain that, so
Okay.
I will get back
You only
to.
got a week, right?
I was just,
I think they're still figuring out a lot of the details, so,
Okay,
but I will get back to you.
okay. Okay, so stay tuned on this one, everybody. This is important to us.
sure.
They didn't give us a lot of support in the booklet as far as the background and everything, and AUMA hasn't got any policies on this, so. New territory.
Well, but I think we will get support from all the
I do too.
municipalities out there.
All the small towns that have peace officers should support this.
Do we have to do campaigning?
Well, I think they should all recognize that.
They do there, but I guess we don't have that chance.
Yeah.
I think the major hiccup or challenge we're gonna have to try and overface during that session is strictly just that a lot of people won't understand that this doesn't apply to communities that are over 5,000 people. If you're over 5,000 people, you're already paying your care of policing. The communities under 5,000 or the municipal districts and counties that are affected by this new legislation are paying for the enhanced policing, which is over and above everything else. And so I do know that a city in the province has expressed that they may not be supportive of this, but I think it's just because they didn't really understand that this doesn't affect them anyway. Even if it's kept the same, it's not going to change anything for them because they're not affected by this cost.
Will it really not if we don't pay that portion? Like if we get exempt from a certain portion of the policing costs that they're trying to foist on us?
Then they'll have to pay the extra.
It'll be
okay?
shared by all the other communities in the province that don't have peace officer programs.
Okay,
So the
they
subsidy will
may
be
vote
paid some
against
by
this.
somebody. It's just those that haven't taken any additional steps to provide additional enforcement within the communities, such as those like who have paid for additional officers from the RCMP, and we're hoping that the same category of distinction will be given to those that have paid for additional community peace officers within their community.
Do you think people will actually vote against this, over 5,000? Do you think it'd help if we sent out just a blurb to every community that we know of that does? Or would that be an inordinate amount of work?
I'm not sure, but we can
Like
look
I
into
said,
it.
do we need to campaign?
Because it works sometimes. I mean, if people know the ramifications of this, if they're paying for peace officers and they're a small community, they need to get behind this and have every one of their
Well,
councils vote for
they
it.
should understand it.
They should, if they know about it.
I think the challenge would be those more communities don't pay than do pay for peace officers. And
Yeah.
so that'll be your wrinkle because it is going to be paid by somebody. I don't anticipate the province is going to just cut Raymond's portion out of the total budget. And those within our area that are having under the Ridge Regional Public Safety Services Commission.
Did it say how many communities in the background
How many communities?
are using 123 municipalities, rural and urban, employ approximately 430 peace officers? Would it be worthwhile to send out a blurb to those 123 municipalities? Or would that be absolutely a huge make-work project?
Probably more so the latter, but
Probably would.
I don't know if I can even ascertain the 127 different communities. I'd have to try and reach out to AUMA and see if they would make that list available.
I hope that everybody reads through these because I'm guilty. Sometimes I don't go through these with a fine-tooth comb. Even though there's just a handful of resolutions, and some of them are really important to us.
And it's a lot easier when you're there in person
Yeah.
at AUMA, because then when somebody speaks to it, you're like, oh, yeah, never thought of that, or I didn't get that, you know, so.
That's why we need to find out if we can still speak to it, it's online, so we can still have that
They must give
communication.
people a chance to speak to their resolutions.
Yeah,
In fact, that's in their bylaws, so.
Yeah, I believe there'll be some type of an allowance. It's all going to be virtual, so you'll be connected through a kind of a Zoom-like format. So I'm assuming there'll be an opportunity for people to speak.
We'll catch their attention.
But I'm not sure.
Okay. So you'll get back to us on that one, Curtis.
Yes.
Okay, 6.11, the blue-green algae.
Early this week, we were notified that blue-green algae has been detected in Ridge Reservoir. This is the first time that it has actually been detected in our source body water. Typically, blue-green algae is a surface dweller. It doesn't really get into the depths of the water. Our intake for the water plant is about 6 to 8 feet below the surface. And so there isn't a lot of concern at present about it being taken into the water treatment plant. I just wanted to bring this to your attention. I did send an email out to council, but I did want to bring this to your attention that we are constantly monitoring the situation. We're doing daily testing. If it does seem to be found within the source water, there is additional treatment steps that we can take to help mitigate that. But once blue-green algae is in your reservoir, it's in your reservoir. There really is no way to get it out from what I understand. Now, I'm no expert. This is just what I've been kind of told. And so we are going to monitor this. The Ridgewater Services Commission is meeting on October 1st, and this will be part of the discussion there. There will be some recommendations as to possible capital projects that we can do to help mitigate the impacts of this if this is going to be part of our current reality. But I just, I got an email from a member of the commission that says it hit the news tonight and he's getting phone calls from water co-op ratepayers. And so I just passed on the message to him, who I did send the original email to previously, just that if you are getting questions and comments, feel free to answer as best you can, but also feel free to direct them to me. And we'll do our best to answer those questions, and if we don't know the answers, to try and get them for them.
So my question on this, Curtis, is it took us 2 years to finally get a meeting with the Environment Minister, Shannon Phillips. And she told the irrigation companies to start having water flow through that lake. Is it still happening with the new change in government, or did that get our irrigation districts, did they stop that?
Nope, they're still operating under the change practices that they have been doing the last few years, which has substantially improved the changeover in water in Ridge Reservoir. It's nowhere as near as stagnant as it was. So our operations are very pleased kind of with what's been happening from the St. Mary's River Irrigation District, Raymond Irrigation District, Tabor Irrigation District, and also the province of Alberta with the provincial environment and parks. And so we don't feel that decision to do what they've been doing, or not, if they've changed that decision, would have led to this. This is just kind of a natural, unfortunate process of something coming down through the waterway, my understanding, from another source, or being brought to from a boat. I don't know if it works like that, like those mussels, that invasive species mussels that everyone's trying to not have enter into lakes. But however it got there, it got there. And so I don't believe that we can say it's due to any change in practice from the irrigation districts. They've actually been very cooperative, in our opinion, in helping us to clean up the quality of the water by getting more flow of fresh water in there every year.
That was my concern, because when I first read that, I thought, holy cow, I wonder if that's what happened.
Isn't that what that water business does in Raymond? You know,
You're talking
advanced.
a big lake, though, you're talking.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, yes, can it treat blue algae? I'm not sure. But the scale is just something that would be a substantial amount of money every year, because the water flows. It doesn't just stay in the reservoir. So
I went out with them and we drove around and they looked at the big lake.
We looked at it, we explored it initially, but it was going to be millions of dollars annually.
We looked at the Cross Cooley Lake, which is more affordable, and it was still a big project.
Correct.
But they'd love to do it.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd be a great fit for it. It's just, is the economic cost worth the return?
Who finds that, if it's not Rick? Are there people with the irrigation districts that go checking that all the time?
Well, I would think yes. I don't actually know the answer to that, but I do know that since 2014,
that's a good question. Who reported that?
I'm not sure. Since 2014, the Water Commission has led a testing program at Ridge Reservoir, which we believe has been largely responsible for getting a change in operating practices at the reservoir, which has substantially improved our water quality and addressed a lot of the taste and odor issues that had been there previously. We did take the further step of enhancing it by putting in the powder activated carbon filtration system this year. It's its first operational year, and that'll be flowing until the beginning of October, I believe. So basically we installed a great big Brita filter on the water treatment plant, which has allowed us to effectively treat the taste and odor issues. Is it going to meet everyone's needs? No, but taste and odor is something you can't quantify. It's a perception thing. But under every metric, our water is excellent quality, and there's no concerns.
And I think it still will be. So I'm looking for the ramifications of having blue-green algae in the reservoir. We still have the water treatment plant with intake 8 feet below the surface. But what if blue-green algae did get into our water supply? Wouldn't it be taken care of in the treatment plant?
There would be additional treatment we'd have to do. We'd have to increase the chlorine levels and some other metrics that we can do there and other methods of treatment. We will have at least one capital projects that we might want to consider doing, which will help us to better mitigate that through a bit of a pre-treatment process before it goes into the water treatment plant, but we're still working out the details, and I may not even have it for October 1st yet.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, well, we'll look for the update at our meeting on the 1st. Any other discussion or comments from anybody?
It's just that I don't know enough about blue-green algae
Me neither.
to panic. Oh, it's in the system, hell.
It's
I
not a
know.
good thing, but it's not cause for alarm at present. There are places that have it far worse than our reservoir does.
And I imagine worse things than algae in there. You know, I imagine all kinds of things in there that it would make me panic before blue-green algae would. Just, I guess, because I don't know anything about blue-green algae.
Yeah, I don't know either.
See, the meetings we've gone to, I think they've talked about blue-green algae before, haven't they, Curtis?
Yes.
In the lake, so I don't know why.
Not in our reservoir.
Not in our lake?
No, blue-green hasn't been, this is the first time it's been detected in Ridge.
But I would have thought that the increase in water flow would have mitigated that. You know what I'm saying?
And it might
Like,
have made it worse.
No, wouldn't it?
wouldn't make it worse,
Yeah,
I don't
it's gonna
think.
make it better.
Cause
It
it,
came from somewhere.
I think blue-green algae comes from stagnation, right? Like, I mean, I don't know.
That's why
I'm
I
just
thought,
guessing.
I thought it was there before, I really did.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I'm sure we'll find a solution though.
Yeah.
we'll look forward to an update at that at our meeting. So 6.12, the EMS dispatch consolidation.
A few weeks ago, Fire Chief Holt came and discussed changes in line with a letter that was sent out by the AUMA regarding the province's decision to consolidate EMS dispatch to a central location in the city of Calgary for all of the province. The city of Lethbridge, city of Calgary, city of Red Deer, city of Fort McMurray, and I believe another community were very much opposed to this because they all run their own consolidated dispatch services within their own communities, and they feel that it's a far more effective and efficient method of response, and it basically increases the safety and likelihood that somebody who needs a call will get the urgent help they need quicker or more quickly. And so council directed administration to draft the letter. I reached out to a colleague of mine who works with the city of Lethbridge, who's actually runs the EMS dispatch center in Lethbridge. And he reached out to the city of Lethbridge, and they drafted this template letter, which they're sending out. And so I'm wanting just to bring it to your attention, and then also just get a motion directing administration to send this draft template letter in opposition to these proposed changes by the province.
I sent you another email today that came from Mayor Spearman too. Did you get that?
This is that email.
This is that
Yes.
one?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, we have a letter in front of us that we, direct opposition to this dispatch consolidation. We need a motion from somebody to send this.
I'll move that we send that letter.
Councillor Harker makes that motion. Any discussion from anybody on this? Okay, I'll call for the vote then.
I'd rather see our own personalized letter, but I think it's more effective. But I mean, somewhere very close along those lines, like Ann said, third paragraph, we could do better.
I was with Curtis when he made the phone call to Lethbridge though. Do you think we could do better, or do you think this is what they drafted anyway?
We could at least correct that grammatical error in the third paragraph.
Yeah.
Just when the honorable minister gets this and it's, another form letter from another community,
Yeah.
I don't care, but I know it's supporting, but if we just tweaked it, or even changed the order of the paragraphs or something, just so it was a little bit different, then you wouldn't say on another form letter, you know,
Okay.
Well,
which would be
I
easy to
can-
do. I mean,
yeah,
Yep.
I can adjust my motion to say that we create a similar
that
letter.
we support the,
We support the idea
Yeah,
certainly,
Okay,
and I don't care if
Maybe
you
just
don't change
tweak
it, but
the letter
there's
a bit.
definitely, you know, if I was sending out a letter, I would wanna at least fix that one mistake, yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
okay. So amendment to the motion by Counselor Harker, that's,
And I'm not a Mayor Chris Spearman fan, so I would like to see his CC taken off too. I don't wanna give him the
Neither am I.
satisfaction. Sorry for saying that, that's not very nice.
well, if he's watching this tonight, he won't like you.
He doesn't like me already.
So let's, anyway, let's call for the vote then, to go with the motion by Counselor Harker. All in favor?
I am in favor of it.
Okay. Okay, what's the next one? 6.13, the fleet update, water truck.
So, I just wanted to update you, the truck that we use to water flowers has died. We're in the process of trying to rig something, but if it isn't able to be done in a quick enough manner to extend the life of the flowers for an extra week or day or so, I just wanted you to be aware. Efforts are being made. It's not an intentional snub of the flowers. It's just a reality of the infrastructure we have. And so definitely something will be operational for next year, but we're just working through that. So I wanted to.
Lucky it's September and not June. or
Yeah.
July.
Good luck.
I think we know where some very inexpensive trucks are.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll give you a deal.
Maybe they'll give us a deal,
They're
yeah.
not having a fire sale.
Okay, that's good to know. People might ask questions. Okay, we'll move to committee reports. Nobody wrote anything down. I haven't had any.
We're just not very good
I had
at
one
this.
again.
Go ahead,
Last
Counselor.
Wednesday, we, the X sighting met again. And just a little update, the report I had before when we met is that they canceled all events as of, until further notice. That has been amended, they are going forward with their annual quilting show. They're gonna have on October 17th. They're gonna take all precautions necessary, follow all provincial guidelines, everything for, COVID. But they are gonna have that on October 17th, so if you're interested, go on down. It will be a good event. Also, I just wanted to mention that, I know they don't like to do the bingo in November, but I don't think that's gonna happen. There's just too much to, for logistics to make that work, but, did wanna mention that the steel or the tin from the Red Barn project, which was they replaced the roof on the Red Barn, and they took that and it is being used at the trailer park as a fence around the outside, and it makes it look much more appealing
Yeah, it does.
than it did, so that's,
Good idea.
so that's where that came from.
Recycling.
Yeah, so they recycled that and that's
Great
where it came
idea.
from, so I think that was a great thing that, that they did and, improved,
Yeah,
a neighborhood that probably needed a little bit of improving. So,
perfect.
So who did it?
I can't remember who did it,
I saw the guy down there working.
but, yeah, I can't remember the guy's name that did it, but it does
Great.
make a great improvement on it,
It's really good.
so. So that's, yeah, that's all we had
Good.
on that.
Thank you, Counselor Hagee. Anyone else have anything to report? Okay,
Mayor,
Counselor Capeters, go ahead.
Mayor,
Yeah, go ahead.
I sent, Curtis got the minutes and he uploaded, Curtis sent the minutes and he uploaded them for us, which is good for, the Chief Mountain Regional Solid Waste Authority, Commission. But I did want to touch on a couple things from that meeting. I did pass this on to Curtis that for the municipalities that are part of that commission, they are, looking for closed bids, sealed bids on, Bobcat they have for sale. I know that they talked to the secretary of, that commission. She's posted it on Carson McGrath area, just, guess walking by, of the pictures of the machine. I was wondering if Curtis could maybe post that either to our website or whatever, if we wanna let the public know that they can put a bid on for that. That machine's 2014 Bobcat with 2,100 hours, and the bid has to be sealed and sent in to the organization by September 30th. So just want to put a plug out there. I know a couple years ago, one of our municipalities got a pretty good deal on the machine, but this one does need some work, I guess. So that was that part. The other part was that there was concern that we may be getting over our weight limit at the dump actually right now. Because of COVID, and we know that we saw an increase in the use of our transfer station, that our numbers are high. Two issues that come about with that is that we could have to face extra fees that we're gonna have to pay to use our facility, or we may have to take our transfer goods to Lethbridge and pay a fee to use Lethbridge. Right now, they're actually gonna send some letters to the province asking for them to change their weight limits to see if we can continue to use our facility up in Spring Coulee without being penalized for going overweight. They did mention the town of Raymond for adding to both their requisitions because of our tear down of the old lodge. So they appreciated the money, but they also recognize that we did add a lot to the dump in Spring Coulee. So they work two ways, but just wanted to pass that little bit of information on.
So is the reason it's being used is because of COVID and people have a little more time and they're trying to clean things up? Is that what you're hearing?
Yes, well, that's what they talked about. Yeah, they said it because of COVID, everybody was stuck at home and everyone got into clean up yards and doing house projects, but they saw a tremendous amount of extra goods coming through all the landfill and transfer stations. And so they think that this is an anomaly year,
Sure.
and they looked at that it came back because of COVID.
And that's really a positive story too. You know, people are trying to clean things up, that's great. You know, I hope they can get that with the government then, get that fixed. Okay, that's interesting, thank you for that report. Anyone else? Councillor Foss.
Just a couple of quick reports. I went to Old Man River Regional Services Commission. There wasn't much in that other than maybe a note that they've added drone services to get the services that they offer. I don't know if the town is ever in need of that kind of thing, but or the Water Commission or anyone else kind of in the region. And I went to a historical society meeting, and of note, they're switching to winter hours. I think next week, so they'll reduce down to just Wednesday from 3 till 5 for the winter months. That's all.
At the museum you're talking about.
The museum, yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, we need a motion to accept the committee reports. Councillor Fromm makes that motion. All in favor? Okay, we'll move on to correspondence. Anything anybody wants to talk about in particular on the correspondence? If not, then we need a motion to accept the correspondence.
I'll move.
Councillor Hagee? So all in favor? Great, that's unanimous. We'll move to closed session. We need a motion to go into closed.
I move we go into closed session.
Councillor Harker, all in favor?
Fun's over.
Okay, we're fine.
So if you need any
Boom.
Okay, we now need a motion for AHS as investment, is that what it was?
A motion from council directing administration to enter into a lease agreement with AHS as
There we go.
presented.
I'll move that.
Councillor Hagy makes that motion, all in favor? Any opposed? Oh, no, all in favor, okay. Now we need a motion for adjournment.
I'll move to adjourn.
Councillor Harker moves to adjourn, all in favor? Good enough. Thank you.